Welcome to Forever Exile, the Path of Exile podcast. This is episode 16. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
So we are very, very close. This is our most likely last 3.9 episode, like official, real episode before 3.10 comes out. It's exciting.
Yeah, super cool. What a great league.
Yeah, it was a good league. How was your week this week?
Oh, it was nuts. Real life busy, POE busy. Man, I started with the new mention for how the Conquerors are going to spawn starting in 3.10 core game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
As a standard player, because my maps are going to, I keep my maps from league to league. I didn't really want to waste any of my high tier, hard to get maps with bad RNG percentage compared to what it's going to be like. So I actually haven't been playing any of the end game all week. I started a new character.
Oh,
actually,
on console?
Yes, of course. It's the superior platform.
Oh God.
Actually, that's not true. I decided to take the 2 weeks to try out a non-Path of Exile game. I know, I feel really, really awkward.
You played a non-Path of Exile game?
So I love.
Tell me this. What the heck?
I love team-based RPGs, right? Like the first Mass Effect was really cool. I love Divinity. When you're leveling 4 characters,
sure.
I love. Oh man, the first Dragon Age was so great. Yep. So I started, I'm like, okay, I'm just downloading all the Dragon Ages. And I started going through it and I liked it. And it's Dark Souls and this game that ruined it for me, but I'm not disappointed it ruined it for me. But I'm going through and I'm listening to people talk and I'm going through and I have to go through and like click on everybody's quest to get the quest. And I'm taking my time listening because I want to make the proper answers. I want to be the nice guy, even though my name's Wrecker of Days. And I just got so bored.
Like, had you played it multiple times before?
Oh my goodness, yeah. I've crushed those games. I love them. And I even downloaded The Witcher because even though I love The Witcher, yes, The Witcher 3. And I downloaded it just to see if the camera when I first tried the game at your place, I wasn't sure if the connection that we had was, I was getting nauseous because of how we were playing it at the time. There's been a lot of patches since, so I tried it again. We bought it for the Game of the Year edition for dirt cheap. Tried it again, still got nauseous. But I found that even before I gave up with my nausea, I'm just not into long storytelling anymore. Like, I'll watch a movie for stories, and nothing against all these epic games, but I just want to kill stuff and level up. And I'm not really into dialogue and I don't know, from my EA days, what do we call them? NISs, non-interactive sequences, like the movie scenes and stuff. I just want to kill stuff. I just want to level. I want to see my XP bar move. So I started a new character. I'm doing a Guardian, Herald of Agony Guardian with zombies.
Okay, and is this a guide or is this just for fun?
It's just for fun, but I love it.
Yeah?
It's for fun, but I love it.
Why?
It's just so fun. The movement speed you get with the current Guardian setup while you have 5 or more allies around you is fantastic.
You don't like movement speed though.
I like a small amount of movement speed, like
6%.
20 to 30% is nice.
Okay.
Anyway, how was your week?
Work. This week I didn't. I read about the stuff going on in POE coming up. I haven't played the league. I lasted much longer into this league. It's actually a little painful for me because I really wanted to get more of the challenges done. I don't have the time to do it. And I know that if I got into it right now, I'd burn myself out for 3.10. So I just don't want to do that. So I have been reading about all the stuff coming up. I've been getting messages on Discord about stuff coming up. But yeah, it's literally been a week of work for me. So not nearly as fun. No games. I don't think I played a single game this week.
Oh my goodness. You're getting so old.
Let's get, no, right?
But hang on, there's one thing I have to say, because I don't think we're going to talk about filters for the rest of the episode.
Oh, thank God.
This will be the first league that I am taking my filter and adding to it. Normally, I take GGG's filter and remake it every time because I know the changes that I want to make and I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Sure. And if there's any errors, it's because the default filter came out and needed to get fixed, right? So, it's like my error-proof way. I'd always start from scratch. This will be my first league, keeping my current filter and adding to it.
I'm curious how many other
Exciting.
people have the same face as me right now.
The exciting, I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it next episode face.
No, I don't even know what you're talking about. What happens if they change something? Wouldn't you have to take theirs and build off of it?
No, that almost everybody else, they just see the information that's posted with the patch notes and item filter information. They're like, oh yeah, okay. And then they add it in with the colors and the priority level that they want.
Everyone else. There's like 4.
Doesn't matter. That Mr.
All
Neversing
other 4 people
does a great job just like looking at it like, yeah, okay, I know exactly how rare that's going to be right off the bat. Let me do that. Like, for example, I need to change my orbs of annulment to be a little bit louder and a little bit bigger because they're not that emphasized. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited. Okay, so now to actual POE stuff. This week, obviously, there was a lot that came out. Actual POE stuff. So there was a lot that came out this week. So let's just hit a couple of them at a time. We kind of chatted. I don't know. You and I chatted just about Beck sort of hinting at the fact that maybe there was some minion peaks coming, but no actual information there. So we'll see patch notes wise what happens. Now, I'm actually going to skip ahead because this kind of counts with it because it was the most recent one, which is the movement skill changes and the huge change to Spectres.
Yeah.
The only reason that I want to bring it up first is because I don't really care about either. But
Good
for
talk.
me, so the movements, the move skills are cool. It's weird that they're just adding an extra one for each one. I understand.
What's
an extra charge? There's like a new support that you can add.
Yeah, the second wind support gives you like a free spam in the middle of your cooldown.
It's a cool idea. It's just weird to me that they're like, well, we noticed that Flame Dash was so popular, so we're going to introduce this support, but it's also going to affect Flame Dash. I know that Flame Dash is being slightly changed a little bit as well, but it's cool. To me, I don't really care. I don't see myself adding a support to a movement skill, but maybe in the past when I've used Flame Dash, I've just used it. That's my like Act 2 get over those stupid bridges.
Yeah, the
you know what I mean?
Bridges.
Like, so for me, movement skills are based on that. But the Spectre thing. So 350 new Spectres, which is bananas. I wonder how many there are now. Do you know how many there are?
That's like bananas with every letter capitalized bananas. Yeah. No, I don't know how many there are specifically. No, but I'm 350 really extra is insane.
Right. Like, so I am a little curious about what the original number is right now. But the reason that this one made me laugh when it came out and I read it is because I instantly thought of you and I was like, oh, they're nerfing minions. This is like their way to appease people. And this was before you had even mentioned to me that Bex had kind of joked or hinted that there might be a minion. But the first thing I thought was, okay, don't care. Don't tend to play minions and Spectres. But 350, this is literally them just saying, here, like, be happy while we beat you in the corner.
That's right. Later on in the week. Minions again, but we don't hate you.
But you can have way more now. You can have so many.
The thing that blew me away about that number, though, like they said they went through 350 enemies and tweaked their AI.
Did you even know there were that many in the game?
No, I didn't. I just thought they reskinned a whole bunch, but I
thought there were like 30.
and half of them you hate because they shoot those, I don't know. Anyway,
stupid porcupines.
Or when you're like stuck for some reason with low movement speed and those girls with their boobs are shaking and they're shooting those darts at you.
What if you can make porcupines a Spectre and then like purposefully lower their health?
Oh, use minion instability with porcupines?
Yeah.
Wonder if that would work you. Yeah. So anyway, I was just really impressed that they specifically went through 350 AI or enemy AIs just for one skill.
Yeah.
How cool is that? I mean, I remember in a lot of other...
They have to make it worth it for what's coming with these patches. They're like, this is going to be worth it because people are going to be mad.
Yeah.
What is it, 40%? Well, how many were Necromancer this one? It was still a pretty high percent. It was the top, like maybe 27, 30%.
It didn't matter which league you were in or what stat you were caring about. at least 30% of players were a necromancer in any.
So people will be upset, but they can have
that's fine.
Many choices now.
People have to remember, GGG's always actually trying to balance it. They just don't want everything open, except for maybe their like 3 archetypes they always kind of slightly push in a league. It's always attempting to be balanced. Attempting.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the reason I jumped to it, because it made me laugh. I actually, just really need to preface. We did our last episode blind. I hated it. I don't want to ever do that again. It's not the way that I do POE. I'm not used to like not looking into it. I understand there were some things that when we read were incorrect. I feel like that's 100% natural that people are going to read it. We were certainly not the only ones. But thank you to the people who pointed out that we were incorrect. Actually, everybody was really nice about it. That's a legitimate
thank you. That's not a sarcastic thank you. That's a legitimate.
It's not, because we found out pretty quick after the episode when we got a chance to like really pay attention to what was going on. But yeah, reading it and then just sort of trying to understand that information without anything else. There were a few things that were incorrect, but otherwise we were perfectly right.
I think the whole episode was extremely accurate, and you should base your information around episode 15.
It's true. You are going to have hundreds of skill points.
That's right.
According to
Plan
us.
your trees to 156 skill
That's
points.
Right.
You're set.
Yeah, you're gonna be good. So anyway, let's go back to some of the changes. Atlas, big changes with the Atlas, which is awesome.
Yeah, well, I think
we
that's one
talked
of the
about it
things we
last
didn't
one.
get incorrect on the last one, but the static changes are really nice to the Atlas. But one thing that GGG mentioned that was an unintentional thing, and you and I talked about this just privately when we're hanging out on Discord while we're playing PoE, we never ran out of maps. And this was one league, I mean, it was awesome. I think if there's ever anything in PoE that you should never have an issue getting, it's maps. Maybe not the exact map you want, but you should never be low on maps. You know what I mean?
Changing? Did they decrease map drop rates? I didn't actually see that.
Unintentionally had too many maps, or not too many, but they had more drops and maps than they expected to drop last. Because not as a number, like a percentage for drops, but just the different ways you could get them. Right? Like how often you could access Xana, right? Like how you can just plan around doing Xana for 3 weeks straight if you have the stack of missions available. Metamorph, you get tons through that, right? There's so many different modifiers now that you can get in-game encounters where you can get maps that they were getting way more maps than GG expected. And so one thing that they're doing, they're actually not changing much of any of that. The only thing that they're doing is they're changing the awakening bonus to not giving you bonus maps.
As long as I don't have to go back to trade just to try and fill my Atlas. That was one of my favorite things about this league, was the fact that I did not have to rely on spamming 40 people to get one stupid map.
So now what they're doing, the awakening bonus, so that's late, right? That's end game bonuses. Sure. Or not beginning end game, but later end game, like the bonuses. They're changing that you're not really getting many map bonus rewards or increases for doing them or as getting them. People freaked out. Like I think that's fine. Like if GGG is fine that we're getting a lot more maps and they're just taking away one of the many methods that we were getting more maps than they expected. Yep. Okay.
What was the freak out?
That's great.
I didn't see that.
There wasn't much specific. Oh my goodness. The thread was so negative. Oh man. Like I'm starting to hate more and more people. You're going to be the Reddit guy from now on. I can't handle Reddit.
I'm not allowed on Reddit.
Get so mad. I get so
deleted.
Mad. That's true. And you don't even do anything wrong. It's just, I don't understand. It's like a whole bunch of people whining and complaining with their arms crossed. Like, you accidentally gave me 2 suckers, and now I'm always going to expect 2 suckers. Don't ever give me 1 sucker again. 2 suckers for free, always.
Well, I mean,
it drove me nuts. Go ahead.
They've admitted in the past, though, when they've made decisions, they've realized that it's really hard to take that back. Maybe that's a little bit of this now, that where it was mistakenly done. I actually, again, without seeing it, it's a little weird to me to just complain without actually playing it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's a little odd to be complaining before the league starts. I could see a month in or 3 weeks in if you're like, hey,
totally different.
I have half the maps I used to have. I totally agree. But before a league starts, that seems a little weird.
Oh, I couldn't believe it.
I mean, really, the amount of maps we had was insane. So I don't mind if it's going to decrease a little bit. But again, my big thing is I do not want to have to rely on trade with other players to get my Atlas completed.
But this is awakening bonus. Like this is stuff that I never even bothered getting to. That was the big thing that people were complaining about. And I mean, that's the end. That's after, that's when you're just, when you're not even going to bother doing a T15 or under. Anyway.
Sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was weird, but I've never had a more downvoted comment than me.
What did you do?
I was being positive to GGG. I'm like, I don't understand why people are whining. I think this is great. It's just sometimes a balance, and people
don't have to be. Well,
those were downvotes. Those sounds. Yeah.
I mean that's a little bit your own fault though. It's like jumping into a crowd of angry people and be like, "Hey guys, here's a reason to smile."
Maybe, but there's a lot of happy people in that group too.
Yeah, but
there's a circle of people singing "Kumbaya" and a circle of people singing "I hate Kumbaya" all in the same place.
Clearly those people were a little bit bigger. If you got downvoted. That being said, the whole downvote upvote thing to Reddit is to me stupid.
Agreed.
But that's a whole nother story. But I've said that before. Anyway, I'm excited for the Atlas changes. I actually think most of the stuff. I love just the actual way that it will impact playing the game with regards to the UI showing how how many maps to run.
Yep.
There's a whole lot of things that I didn't really pay attention to. People were talking about bricking atlases and running certain types of things to make sure. I don't know. I feel like people who want to min-max the Atlas, knock yourself out. I just want to play the game.
Yep.
I'm not going to pay attention to I can't run this map because it will. I don't even know. It's not the way I play the game.
People that play POE though, they really hang on to the past. You know what I mean? Like, this way was efficient for me, and now that I can't do what was efficient for me, the game sucks now. They don't wait for change. You know what I mean? Like, you just have to come up with a new way to accomplish what you wanted. And maybe GGG doesn't want you to accomplish what you were doing in the same way. They want you to do it in a different way. And maybe they haven't stopped from doing it. You just have to go about it a different way. I'm the kind of person where I just play. And then I'm just doing the highest tier map I have.
Well, if I'm relatively the same way, but I also think if you want to complain about something with regards to changes in the league and game mechanics, wait till it's actually out.
Yeah.
Don't bitch and moan about it before it's even playable. That you're just making an assumption of how it's going to be. So,
totes, dude. Wait, did people say totes and dude in the same sentence?
There's a really funny note here. That you hope it doesn't take forever to be able to convert maps to 3-point tendencies. I actually hope.
I forgot about that post.
My hope is that it takes till 3.12.
I'm going to be starting in league with you anyway.
Well, you're not. Why would you play standard in this upcoming league? I don't see. I feel like it would be worse than normal.
I finally have Metamorph. That's exciting. Metamorph.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I think it's dumb. So. Now, I don't know if you're fine with me grouping these two together because
There's new attack skills and they're cool.
Yeah, there's new wand skills and there's new mana skills. And while I think reading them is cool, I don't actually care about any of them. And the reason for it is that okay, I'm just going to pick on this one just to be mean. That new rune skill to me seems so dope. It looks really, really cool.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would be one of the most annoying ways to play this game. It's two skills that you have to press, and you're placing these runes, and then you're charging the runes, and then based on how much you charge them is how much damage they're going to do. I don't like it. I just don't. That's so much work to kill.
It's a lot of start and stop. Any channeling skills like that except for Cyclone, though.
Yeah, but
you don't have to use those skills together.
Yeah, but in order to detonate the runes, you charge them with mana.
Yeah. I think the aspect that they're using mana as a type of offensive source, not just a support, I think it's really cool. I'm probably not going to use them either because they're not minions, but I think it's creative. I still can't believe they can come up with stuff.
I think it looks cool. I don't like it. And then the wand stuff, you know what, for both of them, I guess I will wait to see how they play out. I would never base like how I'm going to start into 3.10 off of brand new skills, brand new mechanics. Some of the new wand skills, they look really cool.
Yep.
They do look really cool, but for me that would be like a either later character or 3.11. You know, like where I'm like, okay, maybe some of those things worked all right. They're just too for me, and there's way too many like added supports that have changed. It just for me, they're cool.
I hear you. As a guide writer, I'm the same way though. You never use a new skill if you're looking to have a solid guide, right? Because nobody's touched it before. Nobody knows the quality of it, right? And sure, it might be good, and you're probably going to get a lot of clicks if you care about clicks as a guide writer, or but it's not. It's going to be one of those things where you're so in the dark. For example, my trigger happy build, my max block gladiator, it was Cyclone the first, because even though Bladestorm is a perfect sync for the ascendancy of that class, I used Cyclone the first league because I wanted to see how Bladestorm worked out. Second league, I implemented Bladestorm because I liked it, but you need to give it some time. But I hear you. I hear you. I mean, they're probably really cool. It's not to diss you, and it's not to dissuade you from doing that as a league starter. But I too, I agree. I like to see how things play out, and I like to see feedback. And I actually want to be efficient in my first playthrough. Last league, when I was really trying to see how bad the nerfs were for one of my guides, was a horrible and depressing way to start. Like as a guide writer, it made sense for me. Yeah, when I started with my Scion Elemental hit. As a guide writer, it made sense for me to start, but it was really rough. Like I really didn't like the league until I restarted.
Yeah, and in a little bit here, we'll probably chat about like how we sort of want to start a new league and stuff. And so we can chat about that then too. But yeah, I'm the same way. I don't usually want to take on something brand new. So I do like the changes. It's cool that they're adding it. They just don't appeal to me right off the bat until I know more information about them. So now we know how the tree is going to work. We know that you're going to be able to branch off with all these jewels, and which we knew last episode, but what is a really, really big change is the fact that the wording is not skill points. It's that you're getting passive skills. So what that means is that you have access to them, but you don't get additional points to fill them, which it totally does make sense. That like literally after we had that episode, the next day I was talking to Ethan and I was like, seems weird to me that you could just put in a blue gem and have 12 points that you put anywhere. Like it didn't really make sense. And so, we just through reading that one, just kind of glossed over that. And we're like, holy crap, that's why I was like, Jesus, the power creep is going to be ridiculous. Now it's not, I think it's still going to be a bit strong, but certainly not to the degree that we thought last episode. So knowing what you know now with how they're going to do it, what are your thoughts with regards to these new jewels and these new changes to the tree and building your own tree?
Well, it's fun to talk about without having experienced it at all. It's like kind of like new skills. Like, okay, like that's cool. They're going to be there. I'll definitely make sure I have part of my tree on the outside of the tree so I can respec or take advantage of them if I get a cool jewel to drop. But I think of the biggest thing, it seems like the impression is that they're going to be pretty common drops. Apparently you can do some crafting with them as well, but I don't know, how many do you want in a tree? Can you really get legitimate life nodes and damage nodes? Could you basically just rush to the side of the tree and 90 of your 120 points are there? That'd
be actually kind of cool. I imagine not, but that would be actually a pretty fun. I'd love to see somebody's build where it's like gone straight from the start to a jewel and they just built it off of that.
Well, especially because you're just going to be stashing all these jewels you think are awesome, but maybe for another build. I could definitely see that happening, especially with, 280 notables?
Yeah, somewhere between 218 and 280. Yeah, 280. 280.
I forgot about that.
For me, I still love it. I think it's going to be super fun.
Yeah.
But you remember we read the teasers last episode?
I do.
I don't like those anymore. And I'm actually not interested at all in seeing some of the possible jewel clusters you get. I started looking at them and it didn't irritate me, but I was like, I don't actually want to know this. I would rather wait till they drop and not try because what it's going to do in my head is me go, oh, I got 30 points. I don't want to spend them because I might get one of those 280 jewels.
Right.
And so I don't want to know them. I want to actually play it okay, one dropped. Can I make this work? No, I can't. No problem. I'm gonna stash it. Yes, this one might work. I'm gonna plan ahead to work towards a dual socket on somewhere on my tree. But
Smart man.
it is gonna make regrets worth way more than they have been in the past, because you have two options. One, don't use your points, which is a terrible option.
Crazy, yeah, especially when they're making the game harder.
Right. By the time you hit like halfway through Act 1, you're going to be crying. And the other option, though, is to build your build, right?
Yeah.
You plan out your build just like normal, and then when one of these things come, you have to maybe make some adjustments, but that's going to require regrets, but also all the side quests. They might be slightly more worth it now.
I think it's awesome
To go and grab them?
Yeah,
I do too.
Well, at least go back. You know, like if you're level 70 and I need 5 more regrets. Well, I have 3 quests I haven't done. I can go back and breeze through it quick. I like doing the quests as I get to them, even though it does make progress slower. But yeah, I wonder if they're going to increase. Like, it'll be really cool to see if they touch any of these numbers going forward, right? Because we were talking, and of course we don't know, but the assumption between you and I is that this is going core. No matter, like, you can't make these crazy cool additions to the tree and then not just keep them.
Yeah.
So are they going to change regret drop rates, or are they going to change? I mean, maybe they'll change quest rewards when POE 2 comes out to kind of equal each other out, but maybe they'll add like a passive respec point with every other normal passive point you get.
I hope they don't increase regret drop rate. I hope they don't touch that. I don't mind.
I agree.
There may be a couple extra quests or rewards for. That being said, you actually get quite a few. If you do all the side quests, you actually get quite a few respec points.
It's like it's 12 or something. It's double digits.
Even higher than
not
that, but it's a reasonable amount. But I think what it does for me, and I think we kind of chatted about this too, was, and I guess this probably will be something we'll chat on a little bit more. But I will just plan out my build a little bit differently and try and think towards those outside nodes.
That's right.
But they do suck because they're all at least 3 away. Like, no matter what, every single one is a minimum of 3 away from anywhere you're going.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a big investment. But I agree with you. I hope they don't make regrets drop more, and I hope they don't give you more passive respec points. Because one of my favorite things about a hard game, and I consider Path of Exile to be one of those punishing games, I love games like Dark Souls, is I love it when everything is terrifying. Not just gameplay, not just enemies, not just a valid T15 map that you're desperately trying to get a bonus on. I love it when leveling is terrifying. And you're like, I really don't want to spend these points, especially if you're solo cell phone. You're like, do I spend these 5 points here? Do I wait? I really don't have the respec orbs, or what are they called? Orbs? What?
Regret.
Orbs of regret, right. I love it when leveling is terrifying. I love it when vendoring an item is terrifying. And so I agree with you. I hope they don't change it. I'm going through kind of go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've been going back and forth on how to do trees with my guide. Obviously, I don't know how these clusters are exactly going to lay out yet. We'll find out on our Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, how that works out. But I've been flopping back and forth on if I should just make my guides to maybe a tree of level 70 or 75 and then let people have free reign. But I think I've kind of sided on the idea of still make my trees to level 90, 91. And if people end up not feeling like they want to expand, the tree itself will carry you through the game. But I'll probably point out which nodes are required. Like if there's, mana reservation or certain types of life regen nodes that you really need, or a Val Pact or something that the build needs, hey, just FYI, you need this, but everything else is expendable, and you can regret those into clustering off.
The way I will probably setting up my own build is just being aware of what are the least important.
Right.
And going, okay, this is what I've got just for now, but if I need to, I can pull it out and put it into whatever these things are that might drop. But I think it's cool. I just will not plan around them. There's 280 of them. They are random as heck. And the more I read the new ones that came out, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. It's not the same as like, oh, this is something new added to the tree that I can go, oh, I can plan a build around that. I can plan around it. You can't plan around this at all.
No, but not especially not this league. Maybe next league, if it stays core and it's new and you kind of know how it works, or drop rates and stuff. But this league, oh man, blind as blind gets.
Yeah, no,
it's like blind without a cane.
Yep.
So are there any I don't know, like sometimes people are super excited about a skill and then they pick the best ascendancy for the skill when they're starting off with a league starter. Are there any ascendancies you're hoping to play, no matter the skills that you might end up being interested in and after the patch notes? Are there certain ascendancies you're hoping, I don't know, that you really miss or that you really want to be good or that you're really itching to play this league?
No, I'm relatively like, yeah, I know it's probably not the same direction you're thinking. So again, we're going to chat a little bit coming up because we wanted to talk to people about sort of what we do when it comes to the end of a league, new league. Yeah. But just to sort of spoiler alert for me, I don't pay attention to almost any of that stuff till patch notes. So for ascendancies, I have a couple in my head that I'll be like leaning towards, but it totally depends on the what I want to play in 3.10. Yeah. And then with regards to the ascendancies, like I know we've talked about it before and we were just mentioning it before as well, like, you know, necromancers being such a huge percentage. And we've seen other leagues in the past where there's something that's got like 25+% of all the players playing it, which obviously is clear meta. There's something that's a little bit overpowered to those sides. I don't care. Yeah. I think people should play the game however they want. And if they didn't touch minions and they didn't touch necromancers, if you wanted to get into this game and have a comfortable game into the end game, go minions. Like if you played in the last two leagues and you were new to Path of Exile, I hope people like that picked up that minions were strong, because it would have given them a chance to see end game, to kind of get there. And then as leagues progress and they make their changes, no one but you can play minions all the time. It's minions, just not possible.
Path of Exile is amazing for minions. There's so many different ones, and there's so many different ways to play. The Elementalist can focus on golems. The Necromancer's fantastic. The Guardian's fantastic. The Pathfinder focuses on the Herald of Agni. Oh, it's awesome! It's awesome.
I mean, don't get so excited because they're about to get slammed into the ground.
But I will find a way.
But I'm just saying that I don't mind that there's stuff that's overpowered. You don't have to play it. Like people that complain about the fact that minions have been powerful for 2 leagues. Yes, okay, they have, but you don't have to play them. Yeah. Go play something else. Like nothing's requiring you to play a minion build. And I actually don't mind the fact that, because Path of Exile is not noob friendly. And I like that. I actually think that that's good. I think you have to come into this game and you get your butt kicked a bit. But yeah, if you came into this game and picked up minions, at least you were going to have a better chance of not getting so kicked that you were like, I don't like this. I can't play this. Yeah. Right. So you could have picked up minions and just flown through, at least played the game. So I don't care. Ascendancy wise, if one's stronger than the other, it's never going to be the thing that makes me go, oh, yeah, I need to play that. I need to play something with that because everybody else is doing that. I mean, I've been playing Path of Exile since it came out. Yeah. And I learned about the POE ninja thing where you could see who was playing what, like last league. I never paid attention. I didn't care. I don't care what everybody else is playing. I would read it and see it in Reddit, or people would post about it, but it didn't influence what I was going to play. I'm going to play the game however I want to play it. So ascendancy wise, for me, I would love if I see changes that are going to affect the build that I'm thinking of playing, but I don't actually go, it's not fair that this one's so strong. Yeah. What about you? Are there ascendancies you're hoping get some love?
I'm like you. I don't care about who plays how much of whatever. One thing I hated about previous ascendancies, and I'm really glad they changed it with the last ascendancy overhaul a few leagues ago. It used to be that necromancers had skeleton specific and zombie specific nodes.
You didn't like skill specific stuff.
No,
that's right.
I don't. Yeah. And the Guardian had a Herald of Purity specific nodes, 2 major nodes there. And to me, now, again, it's not my game. So if they go in whatever direction and they have specifics, and maybe once they have 39 ascendancies, they might have to have specifics. But for now, I don't like ascendancies that make it specific. You know what I mean? Like you have to play a certain way, or you have to play a certain... I like it when it's general, right? Like the Guardian is always going to be about buddies. It's always just going to be about being there for your friends. And I love that. The Necromancer is always going to be about minions, not specific minions, any minion. I like that, right? Occultist is always going to be
as long as it's not a specific
and energy
skill.
Shield. Right. So I like general ideas of it. And I've really kind of grown an emotional... I guess it's no matter the game, but because of what I love in other games, whether it's buffing buddies or minions, I really only care about the ascendancies that do that. So I'm always looking for allies, I'm always looking for auras, and I'm always looking for minions. Or sometimes party members, but I don't like party members that don't affect allies. Like the Guardian has that one node where you share your endurance charges with party members. I love that one, but because I'm always doing minions, it's kind of a waste because we only play a portion of the league together.
Mm-hmm.
So now I get it. Like I'm not complaining against that node. That node would be insane if it shared it with allies, right? If it shared your frenzy charges with all your allies, oh my goodness, that would be crazy. But I'm just emotionally attached to the Guardian and anything minions, and that's all I care about. So just as long as those ascendancies make sense, I'm great. I sometimes like the Scion, I think is cool. I always hope that they make decent changes to the Scion so I can kind of incorporate my two loves of buffing buddies and minions into one nice solid build. So I always hope the Scion does well.
I feel like Scion is just the forgotten child.
I don't know. Like I kind of also like taking, like when I play Madden and I see someone in the draft that has the worst combine that could ever exist. Football? I like trying to draft them and make them epic. You know what I mean? So when I see like 0.1% of people are playing the Scion, I'm like, okay, I'm not just going to play that. I'm going to make a guide out of it and it's going to be great. It wasn't.
How did it go?
Well, this league, it didn't do well. It was fine the league before. But anyway, it was, yeah, no, I like taking the minuscule ones. But anyway, that's enough about that. Good talk.
So do you have plans for 3.10? What's your, I think we briefly talked about this last time. I don't remember. Mm-hmm. No, maybe it was at Pita Pit that we had this chat, but
Pita Pit.
Do you have a thought in your head for 3.10, what you're going to start with?
Well, I'm still disappointed that they screwed up my order last time we went to Pit. I don't like ice cream. I don't want.
You had a salad and an ice cream.
I know they didn't have gluten-free, what are they called? Pitas, and they didn't have the dairy-free stuff. Like, what am I? Look at
my pita was delicious.
Yeah, nobody likes you. So, what was your question?
3.10, bud. What are you playing?
I was thinking of starting with my Scion. Nope.
Let's do that again.
My occultist guide with you. I was thinking of starting. It's energy shields, caustic, chaos inoculation with vortex, and it would have 3 curses. 2 of them at least, maybe 3 would be with blasphemy.
Starting with CI, good lord. I feel like that's as painful as starting with RF.
No, it's and starting with RF is a great idea. It's just not. A little bit extra work.
Don't listen to him, please, for the love of God. If you want to play RF, which is amazing, do not level with it. For the love of God, do not level with it.
But I like dots, right? It helps with not being able to look at the screen. So I was thinking of doing that guide with you, but I'm really enjoying. There was a couple things I was hesitant about with the Scion. I really like going Chaos Inoculation. I'm not gonna ever talk about the Scion for the rest of the episode. If I ever accidentally say Scion, I mean Occultist, and I don't know why I'm mixing it up right now.
Yeah, let's not mix that up. Okay? So Occultist.
So here's the thing. What was the node that they just moved to the tree that used to be part of the Ascendancy, but they didn't replace that node? What was it?
Oh, I know the one you're talking about. I can't think of it though.
Shoot. I'll bring it up quick while I'm talking. But basically, the biggest thing about going CI is how often you get stunned, right? How often you get stunned is based on your life, not your health pool, your life pool. So it's literally your red bar, your life pool. Mm-hmm. Now, when you go CI, your stun is still based off of your life pool, but not your 1 health that you get. Now, for the 3 people that are listening that don't know what Chaos Inoculation is, CI, it's a node on the tree that basically removes all your life but 1. Your only life is energy shield, but you're immune to chaos damage. So you don't have to worry about chaos damage bypassing your energy shield. Chaos damage won't even hurt your energy shield, but energy shield is your only life. So that's right. Now you're running into situations where like you can't really use normal flasks, to heal, things like that. So anyway, let me quickly bring up here that one node that they added to the tree. Right, Wicked Ward. When they added Wicked Ward to the tree, I was really surprised it was Wicked Ward and not Vile Bastion. Wicked Ward gives you an awesome perk when you're CI. Its energy shield recharge is not interrupted by damage if your energy shield started to recharge recently meaning 4 seconds. Now that's awesome, and I think it's extremely important in any CI node. But when you are in any CI build, but when you are constantly getting stunned, now your stun factor is still based on life when you choose to go CI and only have energy shield, but it's not based on your one life node. It's based on the percentage of life you have in the background if you weren't CI. I think that's really dumb. Like when I'm going CI with my CI character, I think I have 45% of my node, or not 45% of my nodes. I have 45% increased life just inherently with the nodes that I've taken. But that's what my stun is based on. Mm-hmm. So basically, if I want to go CI, unless I'm focusing on getting a stun-proof unique, I have to go Occultist and get Vile Bastion, because Vile Bastion says I can't be stunned while I have energy shield. And I think that's really lame, because I want to go CI, but I'm not that interested, besides the curse improvements, I'm not interested in any other node in Occultist. And I was really surprised that the stun proof with ES wasn't basically a part of the Chaos Inoculation node, right? Like if CI had stun is now based on your energy shield, I think Chaos Inoculation would be a lot more viable, but because that's not there, and as a league starter, I don't like that combo.
Yeah, I don't know the solution to that. I assume there has to be it's been like that since the beginning of time for CI, so I assume there's always been weird ways within the tree that you could get it, or I don't think there's quite as many now. Now you got to count on uniques, but it is weird that it's not either built into CI or maybe built into like a path behind CI, like 3 or 4 points behind CI, and you can get some sort of stun is based off of energy shield or something. I feel like there has to be something that maybe I just don't know that is the reason for that, because it is really dumb. It's one CI used to be so popular back in the day. Like there was a time where ES was like the only way to play, because you could have 30,000-40,000 effective health with CI just because of all the stacking you could do with energy shield. But your stun immunity was based on either uniques or there used to be another node. I can't even remember what it was called. But anyway,
it's down on the south side of the tree.
Can't be somewhere down at the bottom. Yeah.
Unwavering stance. But it's right near where the Marauder starts, so that's not a.
Can you put that onto your neck though now? Can you anoint that skill?
No.
It's not anointable? That's too bad.
I don't think so. But I don't know. The thing is, like, you could even make the math different though. You know what I mean? Like, okay, here's CI. You can't be stunned while you have energy shield. Okay, you have to choose Chaos Inoculation to get that, but it can still be a different percentage, right? It's not like these other stun nodes on the tree explain to you what the math is behind stun. You could have the energy shield stun effectiveness different on the wiki, or have the wiki explain it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like it's an oversight, just something that they haven't gotten around to.
I don't feel like it's an oversight. I feel like we have to be missing something. There's got to be something else, because it's been like this for so long.
Oh.
So, but
what are you
did
playing?
Tell me what you're playing for 3. Did you actually?
No, I think I totally got distracted of why I'm not starting with that.
Okay, so we understand you don't like CI, you don't like stun.
Well, I still might do that, but I'm really, really liking this Guardian. And if I'm playing with a Bud, I should be buffing my Bud, right?
What's the build though? What's your focus?
Well, I would have minions around me, so I would definitely have zombies with meat shield hanging around me. The Guardian has those nodes that are right next to it that buff you for, let's see, Radiant Crusade. It says while there's 5 nearby allies, you and nearby allies have Onslaught. You're welcome. While there is at least 1 nearby ally, you and nearby allies deal 10% more damage. You're welcome. Nearby allies, Unwavering Crusade's the next one. Nearby allies have 30% increased damage, extra cast speed, extra area of effect. Nearby allies intimidate enemies, and nearby allies unnerve enemies. So you're welcome. So
are you just going to play with like 2 health flasks and 3 quicksilvers?
No, I'm going to be 100% dependent on Onslaught, because I need my quartz flask to get out of sticky situations. So you could just play a little bit slower, right, buddy?
So what's your skill? What's the skill you?
Well, right now I'm playing with Herald of Agony, and I'm using Cyclone.
Or are we talking the new one that you're playing?
Yeah, but I'm actually really liking it, and I'm playing it, and I might start it if minions are still okay.
Is this a non-guide build?
Yeah.
Oh my!
I know, I'm growing up. I'm getting so old. But I'm using Cyclone. But I'm not.
Are you going to start writing a guide for this? Our progress is going to halt.
If I write a guide, I'd have to scrap another one. 4 guides are my max. I don't have time for more. So it's Cyclone with Infused Channeling and Blade Vortex. So that and then it's going to have Lesser Poison and Poison attached to it.
Sweet.
So then I'm always got 100% poison chance on hit. And Cyclone is just so I can keep moving, right? I'm actually not worried about how much I'm going to hit. I think Cyclone without any accuracy investment at level 90 hits for about 40%. But Blade Vortex as a spell will always hit. So it's Cyclone, Infused Channeling, Blade Vortex is always going to hit, and it's always going to be spinning because Cyclone is going to have such a low mana cost because Infused Channeling is the only mana multiplier. All the other mana multipliers apply to Blade Vortex, which doesn't matter. So it's going to be good. Always going to hit at 100% poison. I'll always be at 40 virulence for Herald of Agony. Good.
Cool.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
3. No. I will decide once the patch notes come out.
You're not even going to decide after you've decided. You're going to change your mind. You're probably going to pick the wrong ascendancy, just like this league.
Well, that's what I picked the wrong class by accident at the start of this league, and then it was just like, we'll figure something out. So I may actually just go back the other way and do Essence Drain Contagion, just because it's an easy league start for me, and it's on, unless something changes with the patch notes, I'm not worried about being able to play it effectively.
Yeah.
For me, yeah. So I honestly don't know until patch notes come out. It's really hard for me to make a decision on that because so many things could come up and they might buff minions, and then I might have to go. Minions have been pretty weak for the last little bit, so if they see some love, I might have to go that rate.
You never know. At least do specters, right?
No, because this is another thing with specters. I love that they've added them all, but for it made me laugh too for you because you don't even play specters the way 95% of people play specters, where they're like, oh, I want this mob because they do these types of damage. They're this specific. You're like, oh, Spectre died. Do Spectre. Oh, Spectre died. Do Spectre.
In my old SRS build, I had Spectres attached to cast when damage taken just because I liked seeing which ones showed up. It was awesome. Yeah. And people would always ask what Spectre should you use. I'm like, whatever, man. Whatever.
Just the one that's dead on the ground.
Peace, dude. Yeah, no. And but no, it's fun. I think it would be a lot of fun to do a Spectre build and let people choose whatever you want. It's gonna be good no matter what, guys. Don't worry about it. Forget about it.
Yeah. So anyway, 3.10, I'll decide whatever it is Tuesday or Wednesday once the patch notes hit and I can actually see what the changes are.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So I know this is kind of out of nowhere, but I didn't really know where else to slot this in, but I did think it was kind of neat. We call it the coronavirus. I don't know whatever.
Did you just say you think it's kind of neat and then you led into the coronavirus? It's kind of cool, guys. So there's
wasn't the best choice of words. If this was proofread prior, I definitely would have changed that. But no, we call the virus that's going around the world now that people are being concerned about where we're from. We call it the coronavirus, and
it's like COVID-19 or something.
Something
it's
like
got
that.
Another name or something.
And
I think Corona got upset.
And
poor guys.
Well, and it's in our specific media a lot. We live in a very multicultural place. In the world, and there's a lot of people that live where we live that are traveling back and forth to where their families are, and those are highly infected areas. So we get a lot of the information. So I get a lot of that information in my newsfeed just because. And it was interesting when I saw something about the coronavirus and Path of Exile in the same newsfeed. So I clicked on it, and it was kind of neat. I saw in an interview that
you gotta stop using neat, bud.
Yeah,
it's not neat.
No, that's true. That's true.
It's kind of interesting. You could say interesting.
Yeah, I guess. So I read, I forget who it was with GGG, but they said that the coronavirus has actually impacted the development, probably not for Path of Exile 2, but a little bit. Like it's what they had to do. Like there's some places that have closed down, right? And when it gets down to crunch time, apparently GGG hires with all their different third-party sources that they get to help develop the game. Some of those places have had to close down or weaken their staff,
Sure.
Be a little bit more specific. So what they've had to do is take people that are actually currently working on Path of Exile 2 and bring them in to finish 3.10. So 3.10 could be put on time. They don't think it's delaying Path of Exile 2 at all. It could, because we have no idea how much further this coronavirus is going to go on. But
sure,
I just thought it was an interesting thing to read because you don't, I don't know. It's just
because it's affecting a video game. It is interesting.
You don't, sometimes you forget how much these things impact. You know?
Don't wreck my path of exile, coronavirus. I don't have much to say on that. No, I think it's hilarious that people are buying like billions of rolls of toilet paper.
I did grocery shopping at Costco.
I don't think, maybe I missed this, but I don't think one of the symptoms is just like uncontrollable diarrhea, where you're just going to need like rolls of toilet. I saw one of my favorite pictures ever. I think I sent it to you in a group of friends of this dude just like dressed up to the nine in gold jewelry, and it says like the CEO of Purell and Lysol or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay, sands.
So it's whatever. Okay, so we have a couple really big topics, and I don't know that we're going to get through both of them, but let's hit the first one because we've had people asking us about it. So the first one is some of the things that we do prepare for new leagues with regards to stashes and stuff like that. I think we can probably brush through this one. I can brush through this one in like 5 seconds.
Do it.
So the way that I prepare for a new league is I make a new character, and that's it. And so I obviously will like think about my build after patch notes come out, but I don't play standard. If I ever logged into standard, I would have the ugliest stash tab you could ever imagine. And the only thing I will say in this particular instance with the new league is I will be reevaluating the way I maybe structure some of my builds to take into account being close to outside edge jewels, just so that I can take advantage of the new mechanic with the new clusters. But I got nothing. That's it. I make a new character.
Well, I would like to congratulate you on exceeding your 5-second prediction. Good for you. I think that was at least 25 seconds.
It's going longer because I'm just trying to hopefully pick you off a little bit. Because, I am maybe slightly curious. What do you actually prepare for standard? Like, do you actually end a league and go, okay, here's what I need to do because this is going to go into standard?
It only depends on what's coming. When you stay in standard, it only matters what's going core. For me, how the Atlas is changing dramatically impacts how I'm going to be using my maps now. Because right now, the chance of influence is, once you have 20 watchstones or whatever it is, the chance of influence is a lot lower than it's going to be in a week and a half. Right. So there's certain things I'm doing and I'm saving for that. Right. I mean, once fusings are gone, people are going to be blowing their fusings like crazy. So there's going to be some core things that people do. But there's really not a lot to do, in my opinion, if you are only a league player, there's nothing to do at the end of a league. There's absolutely nothing. Give your currency, if you haven't already done it, if you're still even playing, give your currency away to somebody and let them spend it and be the super nice person of the week in their life. But if you touch standard and play league, it's a very dangerous thing to not organize your stash tabs a little bit. Because all it takes is a league and a half, 2 leagues of ignoring your standard stash tabs, and you'll never go back. The second you log in, like your third league, okay, I gotta try something out in my stash. I'm gonna try standard for a little bit. The second you look at your stash tabs that you've ignored for 2 months from like 2 leagues worth of stuff, it's just too much. And people they stay in league forever and ever. So what I suggest for people that are
how it's meant to be played.
So what I suggest for people that like to dabble in both leagues, standard and league, when you're going through vendor, like nobody in league is buying anything right now and nobody cares. And if you ever feel like dabbling like in standard, remember that you're going to be getting league after league after league of currency in there. You're not going to need currency. So vendor everything, unless you're a collector. Get rid of your uniques, though. You'll get so many orbs of alchemy from that, which are great for mapping later on, especially if you're just trying stuff out. And honestly, get rid of everything. Only keep gear for builds you love. Like, I'm sure people know by now, I'm a minion guy and I like buffing, like as a guardian. So if something's minion specific, I'll keep it. If it's for a build that I've always wanted to do that, get rid of it, because it's probably been 6 leagues and you still haven't, I'd really like to do that, gotten around to it. So just get rid of it. You can always get new stuff. Like, just gut everything. That's my suggestion anyway, in terms of, because there's not really any other way to end the league unless you're planning on staying in standard.
Yeah. And if you do play in standard, consider stopping.
I disagree.
Your
Listen.
end of league. No, you listen. The end of league is so much more simple.
It is.
When I end a league, I don't even care. I don't think twice about it.
You know what I think League and Path of Exile is? It's beta testing. Standard. No Standard way, man. Not the There's game. So many crashes.
How do I'm muting all of this. I'm turning your voice right now. If somebody hears you, it's just straight chipmunk, unintelligible chipmunk. That's all it's going to hear. That's right. That's even better. That's what I should do. Okay, so let's jump to this is a really big topic. And I know a lot of people have asked us to chat about it. This is probably quite a bit more that you're going to have some, like words for people or your thoughts. So one of the questions we've had a lot of people ask us, and that we've even discussed between ourselves, especially if you're new to Path of Exile, and even if you've been playing it forever, is sort of how you deal with loot, how you deal with vendoring, what you keep, what you don't keep, what you're looking for with regards to prefixes and suffixes and open slots. So there's a lot when it comes to dealing with loot in this game.
It's what makes Path of Exile so insanely complicated. So it's not something we could like tackle head on every time, but go first.
There's so much. I'll probably just kick in from time to time with as you're talking, because the way that I deal with loot is definitely not the way that most people probably will or should. I tend to, in the very beginning of the league, collect what I know I'm going to be able to sell. I know that I've got the triple, if I can get something with like movement speed and triple resists, or with life and 2 or 3 resists, my focus in the beginning is just what can I sell? What's going to make me a bunch of currency? And to be honest, once I hit like 3 to 4 weeks into the league, I'm going with like the very strict never sink, and I'm still picking up. I'll pick up every single yellow jewel, everyone. I always do.
Yeah.
I don't pick up any skills unless they're 15% quality or higher, and I'm only using those to vendor them for GCPs.
Yeah.
And after that, like I typically will pick up rings and amulets just for fun. But I always know by the time that I had like this, by the time I had my guy set up, I knew there was nothing I needed to pick up. I was picking it up just for fun. I had so much currency, and I wasn't in any position or goal to try and like, I didn't want a headhunter. I didn't need like some stupidly high amount of currency to do anything.
Yep.
So I didn't really have a focus on that kind of stuff. I tend to, at that point, I don't pick up wisdom scrolls or portal scrolls. I typically buy them off of you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
So yeah, loot for me is very different than probably like a new player. I will say, for somebody who is playing new, find a filter that you can trust, whether that is Tyler's filter or somebody else's filter, but find a filter where you can trust the drops that are coming, and then get a sense of understanding like it's okay to vendor something.
Yep.
And 100%, I know it will happen. You will later on, and we've been playing forever, and we've seen this so many times. You look at something on Reddit and go like, wait a minute, that's worth that much? And you know for sure that you vendored something that's had those sort of roles. If you're not specifically into like, let's say an attack skill, I'm going to use foils as an example because it's one of the biggest currency makers in the game. But if you don't play a build that is using those type of weapons, I promise you're not going to remember all the things to look for in those roles, unless you've played it. If you've played a build that's focused on those types of weapons, and you know sort of the prefixes or suffixes that you're looking for.
Yep.
The easiest way to say it with regards to attack skills, if you have a high physical roll and a high physical percent roll, you're probably going to be able to sell it.
Yeah.
Tack on attack speed, and you're probably doing really well. But then it totally comes down to the type of weapons too, whether they're two-handed, one-handed. Is it an axe? Is it a foil? Is it a dagger? Like there's so many different things that come into play.
There are. And here's the thing to remember: if you're trying to actually trade and make money, it's okay to screw up. It's okay to vendor something that could have made you tons. Like, sure, it sucks, but none of us are going to know the game so well. I mean, or very few of us are going to know the game so well that we know what every type of item has value. You know, which mods are really rare, which mods are in perfect combination with other mods. I mean, some are obvious, sure, but there are going to be so many combos. Like Justin was talking about the foil one-handed sword, right? It's a thrust sword, it's a dex sword. Some people had no idea why they're valuable. Okay.
Yep.
And that's okay. So maybe you don't even have foils in your filter, maybe you have like a guide specific filter. Okay, you're still going to make currency, and make currency on what you know. Don't unless
you're totally right.
Unless you really enjoy taking your time and looking at stuff, and maybe you're really enjoying learning that part of the game. Okay, like take time doing whatever you want, but don't try and make currency on every item. You're probably, if you're trading, right? This is all basically trade specific here, but if you're looking to trade and make money, just make money on what you know, right? You know, I'm a minion person, so I'm going to be, okay, sweet. I got a bone helmet that has +3 to minions and an 80 life roll. Okay, I know that's great because +3 to minions is super rare. Someone who never plays minions are going to be like, this is stupid. A bone helmet only has 20% increased damage to minions. That's lame. They're going to vendor it, right? So just do what you know. Just do what you know. But I think the most important thing, especially if you're new, pick something, like however you're picking your ascendancy or your class, however you're picking your starting build, make sure it's something you're going to have fun with, right? Because if you get busy, like we all us normal players, we get busy with life, we come back, we don't play as much as we want. When you come back, you want to make sure that you're enjoying it. You weren't just racing against time to try and make the most currency and take advantage of the densest market. You know what I mean? So make sure you're picking something that's fun, but then start learning what's valuable for that specific build. You know what I mean? Like Justin was mentioning melee weapons. Okay, well, melee weapons are very different than spells, right? You have a physical percentage increase and then your flat damage increase. And without those two together, no matter what else rolls on that weapon, it's going to be a piece of crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where am I?
You're not going to get much value out of it.
Right. But
now, that being said, there's the one thing that makes all of this even more difficult is crafting becomes a whole added thing to that, understanding like how you can craft onto these. So
right.
Hard.
Well, but that's the thing. So if you're new and you're not sure about mods, you don't know what's valuable, what's really good at teaching you is your crafting bench. As you go through and you start unlocking almost so many of the very valuable crafting mods come from Jun and defeating members of the Syndicate. And as you start unlocking those, spend time looking, okay, well, what's this weapon with this build? Okay, I'm using a spell build. Okay, well, now this weapon has a high spell damage implicit. I'll go into the crafting bench and see, okay, which mods are prefixes, which mods are suffixes. And you're not going to remember it right away. Don't try and memorize it. But as you start playing with it, you'll slowly start seeing, oh, okay, this type of damage is this type of cast speed. This is a suffix or a prefix. And you start learning it. And then all of a sudden you'll see like, oh man, all of a sudden I have a wand that's doing 140% increased spell damage and I have a free prefix. Wow. Okay. So now I know right off the bat, I have 2 prefixes and a high thing. You start learning the value of which mods for your build are good prefixes and which ones are for suffixes. And if you're missing only one mod, you start learning very quickly which ones are valuable to you. And that is really the definition of what good or bad loot is. So basically, vendor everything.
Especially until you get more into understanding all the roles of the... For me, I never played swords. I never played that physical foil style.
Yep.
However, when I started to see them selling for what they were selling for, I actually took like half a day and paid attention. Yeah. I went through like the stuff that was on trade and was trying to figure out like what is making these things so insane, so that I could just be aware of it. And it becomes relatively simple as you get playing more. But and then for me, I would say belts and boots and even rings and amulets in the beginning are probably my easiest things to just pay attention to, because with a boot I'm looking for movement speed, health, and resists. For a belt I'm looking for really high life and I'm looking for resists, and I'm looking for the exact same thing on my rings and an amulet stats too. They're like filler. Those are where you can find those filler intelligence or dex or strength or whatever you're short on. The rest of it I don't put a huge focus into, because those are the easiest filler spots. The belt is probably one of my favorite slots. It's probably one of my favorite slots.
If I was to buy my gear in a kind of a specific order, let's say I was doing one-handed weapons or a weapon and a shield, whatever it is, I would probably go, I'd always buy my 5-link or 6-link first, right? or I'd plan around it, right? Getting a 5-link or a 6-link is probably the hardest part or the most crucial part of a build. And so you basically just want one really good mod with it. And unless you're min-maxing and you're way end game, but as you're leveling, what you're looking for is your health, right? Are you ES or are you life or are you both? But you definitely want a good or decent life roll or ES roll with your 5-link, right? If it's your chest, right? Justin, you mentioned that your amulets are awesome for making up lost attributes, right? Not very often on a tree are you going to have all of your attributes that you need for your skills on your passive tree, and your amulet is a perfect way to make that up because you have the implicit for your attributes along with that. So I always, especially when I'm leveling, I don't care about life or resists on my amulet. I just care about attributes, and then later on I'll improve the health if I'm lucky, right? You on the same page with that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rings, just like you said, all I look for is health and resists. That's what rings are for me. Later on, the implicits are great, but min-maxing is a much later thing. Belts are always the last thing I add because it seems to be so easy to get a good life roll and at least 2 high resists or 3 decent resists on a belt. So I always kind of like cap off my resists with the belt. What was it? You mentioned boots. Yeah, definitely. I always have the movement speed I want on boots and a high life roll. I don't always focus on resist because I like having the high life roll and movement speed guaranteed. Those are both prefixes. What else do we have?
I would say the most important stat in this entire game is your resists.
Oh, 100%.
And
100%.
And it's become even more so as of this last league. So yeah, you're never going to save the exact items you should save and vendor the exact items you should vendor.
Yep.
So I would not stress about it. I would literally be going into it going, this is the stuff that's it's solo self-found will make you really happy with loot.
Yes.
Because you can just focus on what you need. You don't actually have to care about the rest of it. Now, that being said, I went through solo self-found and saved the stuff I knew was going to be worth a lot. Came out of solo self-found into the trade, made all my money, and then was able to play the guy I wanted to play. But I've also been looking at items for years. So it's a lot different. Once you start to understand a bunch of different builds, I would say in the beginning, just focus on the build you're playing.
Yep.
That's the build you've played in the past. And if you really do want to look at making currency, then you're going to have to spend some time on the trade page and start finding out what is it that people are buying. I think you can do that through POE Ninja as well, but finding out what people are buying and what are the stats that are making it so appealing. Because it literally would not be possible to go through each individual piece and say, here's what you should be looking for.
Yep.
So just look for high life and high resist. You can get like the trade macro, learn how to use Control-C on different things so that you can actually see, and this is again all PC, you can't do this on those silly little boxes that you're playing on, but it'll let you see like those sort of where your tiers are for prefixes and suffixes and how many of them are tier 1 and tier 2, which it does help quite a bit, but again, you have to still know what you're looking at.
Yeah. So another thing that when you go to your crafting bench and you start getting used to what's available to you for, like, you can't roll the same life roll, for example. Let's say you want to add life to all your gear and you have the space to add it. You can only add a certain amount to a chest piece, but you can't add that same high value from a chest piece to boots. They have their different restrictions as you're crafting. And as you just kind of get used to fiddling around with your crafting bench and seeing what suffixes and prefixes are and what kind of rolls you can get, you'll start noticing which crafts are expensive and which ones are cheap. Like which ones cost exalts, which ones cost chaos or alks or alts. You'll also start seeing that rolls, things that just naturally drop as you identify them, can roll a lot higher than you can craft them, right? I think the highest you can craft, I forget what it is. The highest you can craft for life on a chest is something like 90. Oh man, I don't have the exact number, I forget. But you can have 120 life roll on a chest, no problem, right? If it drops like that. So there's certain things, just as you get used to the games though, it's not something that you really freak out about. It's not something that you desperately need to pay any attention to. Like Justin said, if it doesn't work for your build, just vendor it. And as you start learning the game,
don't build up stash tabs of stuff because you'll never get through it.
No,
you'll go into standard with like 8 or 9 full stash tabs. It happens every time.
Especially as you're leveling. The only stuff I keep when I'm leveling are completely relevant to my immediate circumstance. Right.
The only thing I would say is different on that end is jewels, because jewels have no item level.
Right.
A jewel can drop very early on that is going to be massively worth a ton of money, because they don't roll the same way that gear does. So I would jewels for me is like the big one to always be picking up, especially early on.
Yeah.
So yeah. Good luck.
The key is don't stress. It really is. Don't stress. Don't hoard. Have a good time. Good talk. So remember that one time a long time ago you were in our mall and somebody, I think at like a cell phone shop or something, recognized your gear and it made you super happy? Like you were wearing some POE swag. You got one of your t-shirts from your expensive support pack purchases. You remember that?
I do remember somebody saying something to me because they saw the shirt, the POE shirt.
Long time ago, so now hard to remember.
Yeah.
So I finally had somebody recognize my POE swag. Now, I shouldn't say it's my POE. I mean, you gave it to me, but you got it for me at ExileCon and then gave it to me, which I absolutely love. It's the best hoodie in the world.
Yours, yeah.
I guess, yes. But I finally had somebody recognize my POE swag. I was at...
I love that that's like a goal.
Oh my goodness.
Like walking around like, guys, do you see this damn jacket?
This game is what I spend all of my personal time on. I just like it that much. So it's really cool if somebody was to come up to you and be like, hey, like everywhere I go. I mean, millions of people play this game and I never walk into somebody that says, even at the video game store. Even at the video game store, I'm like, hey, do you play Path of Exile? They're like, no, I don't know.
You ask them that as you're wearing a shirt and hat.
Yeah, I should.
Like, hey guys, do you know this game right here?
I don't work for them. So anyway, I'm at A&W, right? It's and I'm walking to my seat after I order my food, and somebody comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, I like your hat," and I'm wearing the hat you got me. It's got the Exalted Orb on it, and I'm so happy.
Path of Exile on the side, yeah.
Yeah, and it says POE on the side, and so I'm so happy. I'm gonna hug them because I'm meeting another POE player out in the middle of nowhere. But then I realized I'm also wearing my POE hoodie, and that says like Path of Exile a lot bigger and everywhere on it, and they just said my hat, and I'm like, okay, well, hang on, let's so I kind of reserve my excitement a little bit and just making sure, and I say thank you, and I ask if they play without specifically referring to POE, and they're like, play? Yeah, I play cards all the time. I like cards. Like at their table they have a deck of cards. I guess they went to A&W to play with one of their friends, and so I'm like, so I say, cool, man, I love cards, and then I sit down at my table and I cry a little bit inside because still nobody's recognized my POE swag, and I immediately entered this little circumstance into our note-taking app so I could share it because I was that sad and disheartened.
So nobody actually recognized your POE.
Nobody
stuff.
did, and they got my burger wrong. They only put 2 patties in, and I ordered the 3 patty one.
That's awesome.
It was horrible. And
cool story time.
It was raining.
Oh, man. Well, it does fit your story.
And I was only there because my doctor was an hour and a half late, so I had too much time to spare. It was a lonely day, and nobody saw my POE swag.
Just to add to your, like, super terrible story and negative attitude, what is your note about a different name? So we know you're WAD, or I think was Tarky that was like
yeah.
But you said that there was a different name you almost had.
Well, before way back in the day, I used to be Try Night Party, but that didn't really make sense, and people called it Trini Party, and that was even dumber. So I was on a quest to change it. And I think I've already explained this in a previous episode, but as I was deciding what it was going to be, it had to fit within an Xbox gamer tag restriction, like the amount of characters. I forget if it was 13 or 15 characters or whatever it was. And it was between Wrecker of Days, which you and I used a lot, but I also didn't want to wreck that by taking it and stealing it. So I was also considering Pit of Despair. I thought that would be pretty cool, right? Getting summoned in Dark Souls, or you're helping someone out in your Pit of Despair, from, what's that called? Princess Bride, remember? Pit of Despair?
Mm-mm.
What? In like the tree hideout where the guy's getting tortured by the really pale guy? Pit of Despair.
So, yeah. I don't remember it. It's an odd name to be called by.
Well, I hate you.
You could have been Pod.
Anyway, I forgot that note was in there. That's
awesome.
Whatever. All right, whatever. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I write guides, right? Now that we're back on the path of exile and not A&W or Pit of Despair. This is the first time I've ever considered incorporating a league mechanic into my guides.
What are you talking about?
Well, like these cluster jewels are specifically only in league. And I never...
They drop from league, yeah.
Right, and I never make my guides revolve around league content. Because I keep them going, I don't make new characters every league. I revamp my characters just so that they're taking advantage of the new tree, new skills, and I just make sure, that they're min-maxed properly. But I make them so that, like, okay, so if one of them is a really good clear, but they're not great on boss killing, I'm still going to keep that guide in the Metamorph League, even though it's slow on boss killing, right? And so I don't revolve that guide around the league mechanic. I don't just make boss killer guides for Metamorph. I just have my same guides that I just make, and I make sure that they're up to snuff every league.
Sure, and now that this is a league-specific thing, if you write it, somebody following it in standard is not technically able to follow along.
Right. So, but this is the first one where I've ever even considered incorporating. Like, so now I'm referring to the passive tree with the new passive clusters that you get from jewels. How do you not incorporate that?
You can't.
I know. This is the first time I've ever had to include something so vague and generic and specific into my guides. I mean,
that being said, you don't actually have to be super specific because you can be saying, like, here's the jewel slot that we're heading towards for the majority of people who are playing league. If you're playing standard, don't worry about it. But yeah, like you can, it's kind of, you're kind of saying it anyway, because you talking about which nodes would somebody take out first if they needed to, and there's no way you're building your guide around specific new clusters.
No, well, no,
not right now. It's just not. I don't see you actually ever doing that because you don't buy stuff.
No, not unless you can craft them very easily and specifically. No, that's true. Yeah.
So I don't see it being a huge difference aside from the fact that just here's the jewel nodes we're going to be paying attention to or that we're close to when we need to, for again, the like 99% of you who are playing league. I'm sorry to standard people, but if you play standard during this league, you are out of your flipping mind.
I'm a standard lover, and it's going to be very hard to play standard with this new passive tree.
Yeah, you just can't.
No. You basically make a character you've always wanted to play in standard, and you just start it in league, and you just deal with it until the league ends.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to have to do with my Guardian awesome. Hawa.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so I think we're pretty close to wrapping this episode up. There's a few like maintenance things to just quickly chat about. We've had a couple people ask us about wanting to support the podcast and that kind of thing. It's kind of a weird situation. We've kind of been chatting a little bit about it, not totally sure if we want to go that route. One thing for me personally, I have zero interest in being beholden to people who maybe feel like, well, I've donated or I've done this, and so you should be doing this for us. I don't like that. We kind of just do our own thing, and that's definitely way more me. I know Tyler, he's a man of the people. And so I don't know. We chatted maybe about creating a Patreon just to have it, but I am a little bit curious if people have suggestions if we did do that, what some of their, I've kind of thought about, okay, if we just set up a couple tiers, where somebody's just supporting because they want to be supportive, that whether there would be any additional tiers. Like some people have talked about hearing unedited versions of our podcast, which would be a little bit funny to hear because Tyler actually sounds nothing like what you hear in the podcast.
I sound like a manly man after Justin touches my voice. Wait, touches my voice? That's gross.
I touch your voice deeply, but I don't know. I guess I'm curious if people have suggestions because we're not in a position of feeling like we have to go down one of these routes. Any support would obviously go towards paying for some of the monthly stuff that we deal with, but we're not in a position of needing it, so I don't really know what to do. And I'm not super comfortable with just saying, hey, if you want to donate, here's a donate button.
Yeah, we don't ever want anybody to feel like they should just because we have it. And I do feel like sometimes when people have those things, like, sure, some people just want to go out and support, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'll just spend something quick at POE because I would hate it if they went under, and I love the game and I never spent any cash. But we don't want people to feel like they should just because we have it. So I
love the idea that people are just listening and that people are giving us feedback, that people are chatting on Reddit, that I love getting twits on the tweeters. So I don't know.
You're so
If
young
people
and
have
cool and hip.
get me on the Facegram. If people
Remember MySpace?
Oh man, do I ever? Okay, so yeah, I don't know if people have some input as to what they think. If we did go that route, is there an idea
ICQ
for the tiers? What was that Bing? That noise that it would make? I had a 6-digit ICQ number. 6 digits. It was unheard of. It was like 210 something. Anyway, so that's the first thing. The second thing, we've talked about maybe having a midweek episode this week, just when patch notes come out. Both of us would love to do it, but we're just throwing it out there that it's a big maybe. It just depends on if we can find some time in our schedule. It'll either be there'll be a midweek episode where we get a chance to quickly chat about the patch notes and the things coming up and what maybe now we have a direction for 3.10, or it will be a normal scheduled one where we're doing both, chatting about some of the stuff with the patch notes and also leading into because I think we'll be like at least level 60 at that point. Next week.
Yeah, so, easily.
Yeah. It will be awesome if it works. It's just going to come down to timing. So if you don't hear from us through the middle of the week, tweet us a tweeter and tell us that you're upset, or tweeter us a twit, whatever.
Yeah. Both work.
Let us
Both
know.
Work.
Yeah, you can tell us that you're upset that we didn't do it, or you can tell us that you're happy to take a break. But if it does work, it will come out ish
around that time.
Yeah. Somewhere around that time is what we're aiming for. Anyway, this has been go ahead.
I hope everybody found the loot section helpful. I know we rambled a little bit, but I hope
somebody gets
requests.
that. One day somebody asks for the unedited version of this episode.
Whatever.
Anyway, this has been Forever Exiled, a Path of Exile podcast, episode 16. I'm Tags, aka Justin.
Wrecker of Days, Tyler.
Maybe soon pod.
Pits
if you're
of despair.
Yeah, don't do it. If you're looking for any more information about our podcast, any of the stuff that we've talked about, we'll have links to our twits and tweeters. And I think that's all we link. Maybe our website. You can find us down below. Thanks a lot for joining us, and we will catch you either midweek or next week.
Happy league start!